Hi, welcome to the Plug-in Duo. I'm Julio. My wife, Christina, is behind the camera. So this is gonna be a quick comparison between the Model Y and the Model 3. So for those of you wondering which to choose, this will give you a little bit of a better idea. It's gonna be a quick overview. Well, like everything, we gotta start from the top. So let's start right here from the front. So one of the things that I often get asked is, what's the height difference between the Model Y to the Model 3? Well, here you go. I am 5'10", and the Model 3 is about this high. So it's about chest area to me, versus this one is probably a little bit below eye level. They both have 19-inch wheels, so definitely that is not a difference. They are a different style of rims, but they are both exactly the same. But we'll get to the height and how it looks and the seating position, because trust me, I didn't think at first, but there is a big difference. I know a lot of people say, oh, well, the Model Y is just a Model 3 on stilts. There's more than that. Definitely, there is more than that. So let's start with the frunk on both vehicles. Okay, so on the Model 3, just to be sure, you still get your the same style headlight. You get your fog lights. The front is pretty much the same. It's just on the Model Y, it's a little bit more elongated on the front. But I mean, aside from that, they are pretty much the same. So this is the frunk for the Model 3. See the overall shape, but if you notice, look how deep this is. So yes, since there's no regular gasoline engine, you do have some compartment over here, but see how shallow it is? Then now let's see the difference from the Model 3 to the Model Y. So as you guys can see, because of the height difference, you also get a deeper area for storage in the trunk. I'm not sure if it's exclusive just to the Model 3 and Model Y, but ours has this extra seal over here. I don't see it on the Model 3. Now, is it because somehow it's missing? Does it come that way? I am not sure. I'm just comparing to what I see from this model. I would say it's let's say about 10 inches tall, and right here is probably about 8 inches from front to back, versus this one, oh my God, I would say it's probably about maybe about 1.5 feet tall, and from here it's, I would say probably about 1 foot. So definitely the storage in the front on the Model Y, you definitely get more. So that's one of the few differences that we can already start seeing between the Model Y and the Model 3, but there's more to see. Since we're talking about cargo in the front, so let's go to the actual trunk. So here on the Model Y, by the way, to keep things fair, we're gonna be doing 5-seat versus 5-seat. So we're not doing mine, which is the 7-seat. So we're doing, again, 5 versus 5. So this one being the Model Y, you have your shelf cover. So you have your traditional trunk. You also have your sub trunk, which is pretty deep, very wide. You also have 2 spaces down here, one on the passenger side and another one on the driver's side. So it's very nice. But an added bonus that you get with the Model Y is you get another compartment. So aside from this sub compartment, you also get another sub compartment that is actually separated from your first sub compartment. So you can have your umbrellas, you can have cleaning towels, what have you. What's cool is you can hold it like this, and you can segregate your groceries. So if in case you got a lot of cans, instead of rolling back and making a big mess, you can keep them confined to this area. So now on the Model 3. So another thing, if you notice, on the Model Y, how it opens, this right here is a hatchback. So even though they both may look the same, this is a hatchback, this is a trunk. So the way it opens, it's a whole lot different. So see, the opening, it's definitely a lot more narrow. It's a trunk. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. It's a trunk. So the difference on this one, on this Model 3, is the storage. Can you see that real well? Mm-hmm. The storage here on the passenger side, you don't get that. But you do get one storage area here on the driver's side. It's not very deep. And of course, being a Tesla, you do get also the sub trunk here on the Model 3. But if you notice, it's a lot more shallow. It is probably as wide as the Model Y, but it is definitely not as deep. Another thing that it's also got going against it is, remember how the Model Y had a second hidden sub trunk? On this one, none of that. There's none of that. So on the Model 3, if you want to carry long items or something big, you're gonna have to fold the seats down. So these are manual seats. You would have to roll the front seats forward in order to have them lay all the way flat, and they are manual. This right here, there's no way around it. You cannot get rid of this because of the way that it opens, because again, this is a trunk and it opens from here, versus the Model Y, it's a hatchback. So if you notice, you have all this space, but that's definitely going to impede if you're carrying a lot of cargo item, big items of that sort. So as I said, even though a lot of people say that the Model Y is just a Model 3 on stilts, there's a lot more. Also, what's cool is that on the Model 3, to flip the seats is actually manual. Like it's you pull down on the handle and you flip the manual. On these ones, they have a spring-loaded mechanism and they're electronic. So on these, you have two buttons here on the side on the Model Y, and that's how you flip your seats if you choose to do it here from the back. So there is one, and there's two. As you can notice, flipping the seats down, we did not even need to move the seats from the first row, and the seats can actually lay almost all the way flat, and you have this much more expansive space on the Model Y. And of course, we removed the parcel shelf just to give you that much more space. Now compare that again to the Model 3. We kept the seats to exactly how we had it when we were using them, and if you notice, the seats can't fold fully flat unless you move the front seats forward. But again, you're taking away from the comfort, so there is a difference. They are not exactly the same. You do get more space, so it is just a little bit more expensive, but you do get more. Okay, one other cool thing that I love that the Model Y has versus the Model 3 is you have a 12-volt socket over here. So if you want to charge your camera, maybe fill up a kiddie pool, if you have to maybe check the pressure on your tires and you want to fill them up, versus the Model 3, none of that in the trunk. Let's put this back together and let's get to the interior, because there's still a lot more things that the Model Y has versus the Model 3. Now working our way to the inside of the Model 3. So here on the Model 3, the seats are fixed. So there is no reclining. So these are fixed. The only thing you can do is flip them down. Also, if you notice, look at the space over here. This is about as, and this one is about as high as it goes on the driver's side. And you get about maybe 4 or 5 inches or foot space. There on the passenger side, if you notice, oh my God, maybe get about 2 inches. So definitely the space is much more constrained. In the back, it's one continuous sheet of glass. So that's the difference versus the Model Y. This is actually more towards the back and the lights are on the side, but you still get your vents, your USB charging, you get your flat floor. So that is the same. But again, let's not forget the limited foot space on the Model 3. Now here we are on the Model Y. So if you notice, first of all, look how much space. Honestly, you have about 8 to 10 inches of foot space here on the driver's side, and this is not even all the way to the top, so you can actually go even higher to the point that it almost touches the roof. Now if you notice here on the Model Y, you don't have the bar right here in the middle, but it exists back here where the hatchback area is. On the Model Y, you can actually recline the seats. It's not life-altering, but something is something. So you can actually recline it a little bit like this. It gives your passengers a lot more comfort, and that is something that is not available on the Model 3. And yeah, you also get this third seat. You get right here the cup holder. So also, let's not forget that the center seat also has a headrest. Definitely the Model Y has more things going for cargo, for family, and for comfort. So just to go back on the Model 3, you also get this cup holder, but if you notice, the center section is actually a lot smaller. Your center passenger is going to have a lot less space, a lot less elbow room in between, and also the headrest is a lot smaller. But I mean, you still have your cup holders, very narrow compared to the Model 3, but you still have it nonetheless. So on the Model 3, the side sill right here on the side, note how thick the side sill is to where you actually have the footwell and your sitting position for the two front passengers. Here for the Model 3, note how you have to pretty much go down on the floor. The car has a much more sporty seating configuration. When you sit down, you're definitely, your legs are much more in a sports car kind of seating arrangement. You're kind of sitting down into the car, but having said that, you are very low to the ground. So if in case you're wondering how it would look from the Model 3 to the Model Y, this is how it would look. Another thing to note is the mirrors themselves are a little bit different between the Model 3 and the Model Y. On the Model 3, it looks like they're a little bit more elongated, they're a little bit more rectangular, versus on the Model Y, they are a little bit more squared off. And definitely, if you notice, the bar that holds the mirror is actually sticks out a little bit more on the Model Y than on the Model 3. On the Model 3, the mirrors definitely, they are tucked a lot closer to the car. Now we switch it up. So now from the Model 3 to the Model Y, as you can see, there's definitely a big difference. So as mentioned, see how my sitting position, see how my legs are much more elongated. Definitely, again, gives you a more sporting vibe, but getting in and out of the car, yeah, definitely there is a big difference. As far as comfort, you definitely have to go down into the car, and you have this big sill right here, a very different seating position compared to the Model Y. But I mean, aside from that, you get all the same creature comforts. You get your screen, your steering wheel with your controls, and aside from that, it is all exactly the same. This is how you can tell the difference between the Model Y and the Model 3. So this is how I would have to get out. Let me show you how I have to contort myself to get into the Model 3. So you can't just, you kind of got to drop yourself in, and that's, yeah. This one is a loaner, so I have to constantly set the steering wheel all the way high, because if not, the steering wheel doesn't let me. So I have to set it all the way to high, and it's still, my pants are constantly rubbing on here, and I have to rotate myself to get out of the Model 3. And if you notice just how low the door comes to my hip area. Okay, one is over here by almost by my chest area, mid torso. So if you notice here on the Model Y, the seating position, it's a much more comfortable seating position. You get to actually have your knees bend in a more comfortable fashion, and see, we have it set. So this would be actually my preferred seating position. So it's a lot more comfortable. And see, definitely the seat is higher. See, the door sill is actually higher as well, and it doesn't intrude on the footwell space. So makes it much more comfortable compared to the Model 3. When I want to get out, the Model Y is definitely a lot easier. So in a Model 3, when I had to get out on this, a lot easier. Definitely a lot easier. I'm sure that there are many more things that I didn't touch base on, the difference between Model Y and Model 3. But another thing that, you know, you might want to mention, you might want to consider, depending on what your priorities are, is both are long range, both are all-wheel drive with dual motors. The difference is that this one, on a full charge, you get about 330 miles on a full charge. This one, the Model 3, on a full charge, which we charged yesterday to 100% to see, it gave me an estimate of 349 miles. So definitely 20 miles difference. If you're gonna be doing road tripping, as far as range, this will take you 20 miles extra. Having said that, in a much more comfortable fashion, it will be the Y. As far as the way this both of these cars drive, definitely the Model Y has a softer, plushier riding comfort, versus the Model 3. It's a little bit more stiff, but definitely it is made more for the sporting, for that sporting feel. The Model Y, I'm not saying it rides the softest, but compared between the two, definitely the Model Y is much more comfortable. But anyway, I think I've gone on long enough. So we hope that you enjoyed this comparison between the Model Y 5-seat versus the Model 3. I'm Julio. My wife Christina is behind the camera. Thanks for stopping by. We hope this video helped you guys out in your decision on what your priorities are. And we'll see you guys on the next video. Bye now.